Excluded from my sister's conference, I went on a solo retreat. When the event collapsed, my whole family panicked and tried to reach me, but I was too busy enjoying the Andes and my own peace. It started with a text. Just one line, no explanation. Had to make hard choices for the conference. Hope you understand. Love you. That was it. No call. No invitation. Not even a thank you. Just that. My name is Daniel Foster. I'm 42 years old. I live in Denver, Colorado, and I'm a corporate strategist. A good one. Maybe not flashy, but solid. Reliable. The kind of guy you call when you're trying to turn a sinking ship into a yacht. 2 years ago, my younger sister Emily called me in a panic. She had this rough idea for a conference, something about ethical AI and diversity in tech. She was smart, driven, but scatterbrained as hell. I helped her put together a proposal, walked her through budgeting, connected her with my network. Hell, I even wired her 10 grand when her seed money dried up and the sponsors bailed. That conference? The one she just had to make hard choices for? Yeah, that was ours. Or so I thought. I stared at the text, rereading it like it might change. Hope you understand. Understand what? That I've been pushed off the guest list like a junior employee? That I didn't make the cut at the very event I practically helped build from scratch? I called our mom. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, Mom. Did you know Emily didn't invite me to her conference? A pause. Then the rustle of the phone as she probably stirred something on the stove. Oh, honey, I'm sure it's just a mix-up. You know how she gets. It wasn't a mix-up. She sent me a text. Said she had to make hard choices. Mom let out a sigh like I was already exhausting her. Well, it's just a conference, Daniel. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic? I wasn't being dramatic. I was being blindsided. I wasn't some ex-colleague or jealous rival. I was her brother. The person who stayed up editing her pitch deck at midnight, who flew to Austin with her last year when she panicked before the first event. I didn't want applause. I just thought I mattered. Apparently, I was wrong. I sat with it for a day. Tried to be rational. Told myself she was just overwhelmed, that maybe there were space limits, that it wasn't personal. But deep down, I knew. It was personal. That night, I booked a luxury hiking retreat in the Andes. Private guide. No cell service. Cold weather. No hard choices required. If they didn't need me on stage, I wasn't sitting in the damn audience either. They could run their little empire without me for once. And I'd be somewhere else entirely. Breathing clean air. Sleeping under the stars. Alone, but not uninvited. The morning of the conference, I was at Denver International, first-class ticket in hand, sipping black coffee in the Polaris lounge. I looked out the wide windows at the gray tarmac, thumb hovering over my phone. Then I posted it. Guess I got cut from the agenda. But I'll survive. Attached, a selfie of me with a whiskey in one hand and my boarding pass in the other. Within 5 minutes, the comments rolled in. Wait, what? You're not speaking. Damn, after all you did for her? Honestly iconic. Her loss. I didn't respond to any of them. Just smiled and sipped my drink like none of it bothered me. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again, this time a text from my mom. Mom, are you really skipping your sister's big day for this? You're being childish. I didn't even open the message fully. Just deleted it. Childish. Right. Because booking a trip across the globe instead of sitting through her curated little TED Talk circle was somehow less mature than excluding your own brother and pretending it was logistics. I boarded early. The flight attendant called my name, smiling politely. Mr. Foster, right this way. I nodded, slipping into my seat, 1A, and folding my jacket with care. I didn't even bother opening the welcome note Emily had sent months ago, still stored in my email. I wasn't in the mood for ironic nostalgia. By the time we hit cruising altitude, I had switched off my phone. I didn't need it anymore. No one I cared to hear from was messaging me. 14 hours and 2 layovers later, I was standing at a private airstrip in Peru, surrounded by mountains that looked like they belonged in a painting. The air was thinner, but it was the cleanest breath I'd taken in years. The driver, Mateo, greeted me with herbal tea and a thick alpaca blanket. His English was decent, and his smile was warm. Very quiet up here, he said, loading my bag into the Jeep. Good, I said. I came for the quiet. The lodge sat near a glacier-fed lake, with views that made the Himalayas look like a postcard. No traffic, no deadlines, no sisters sending guilt-laced texts. My cabin had no TV, no internet, just stone walls, hand-woven rugs, and a fireplace already crackling with kindling. I sat by the fire that night, watching the flames move like dancers. Outside, it was dead silent. Not the eerie kind, just still. That's when it hit me. This was the first real taste of peace I'd had in years. Not the kind you get on long weekends or quick vacations. The kind where no one's asking for your help. No one's calling you too intense or over-involved. I wasn't a keynote speaker. I wasn't a mentor. I wasn't a strategist. I was just Daniel. And for the first time, that felt like more than enough. By the second morning, I'd settled into a rhythm. Early hikes, long meals, and a kind of quiet that didn't make me twitch with restlessness. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't checking email. I wasn't waiting for someone to need me. But I did post. Just one photo. Me on a mountaintop in a windbreaker, clouds spilling over the ridgeline like a slow-motion waterfall. Caption: when one door closes, another opens, preferably to a panoramic view. I didn't name names. I didn't tag anyone. But I didn't have to. The comments started slow. A few likes from former coworkers, a couple of heart emojis from people I barely spoke to in college. Then the DMs. Wait, are you really not at the conference? Man, they iced you out? That's cold. Honestly, you look better up there than behind a podium. One message stood out. It was from a guy I hadn't heard from in years. Greg something. We worked together briefly at a startup in Boston. They did you dirty. Proud of you for walking away. I just stared at the screen. I hadn't realized how visible the exclusion had become. Word had gotten around, apparently. Quietly. Efficiently. I sipped my tea and leaned back in the hammock outside my cabin. The wind smelled like eucalyptus and sun-warmed stone. That's when the next message came through. This one from an unfamiliar number. Emily's assistant. FYI, your Insta story is making rounds backstage. I laughed. Out loud. Not because it was funny, because it was absurd. I could picture it. The conference center, sleek and minimalist, full of fresh suits and startup jargon. My sister, probably rehearsing her closing remarks in front of a mirror. And someone whispering, "Hey, did you see Daniel's post?" Good. Let them feel it. Let them sit with the weight of their decision. And no, I wasn't just quietly licking my wounds somewhere. I wasn't bitter. I was done. That night, after a long hike to a glacial overlook, I posted another photo. Me sitting cross-legged on a rock, sun setting behind the mountains. Caption: turns out peace looks nothing like I imagined. Looks better. That one got shared more than the first. The comments started shifting. This is the kind of petty I aspire to. Honestly, your sister doesn't deserve you. We need to talk about how powerful it is to remove yourself completely. It hit me then. This wasn't just about me. People saw something in my absence that mirrored their own stories, their own silent dismissals, their own decisions to finally step away. And I felt it too. I wasn't rebelling. I was reclaiming. Not for drama, not for revenge, but because sometimes the most powerful move isn't saying anything. It's disappearing. Quietly. Completely. And letting the silence speak for itself. I was halfway through my afternoon tea when my phone lit up like a slot machine. Buzz. 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 12 missed calls. 14 unread messages. First one, Mom. Call me. Now. Next, Emily. Can we talk? Then another, just one word. Please. I let the screen dim. Sat there, watching steam curl out of my mug. I could already feel the shift. Something had gone wrong. Very wrong. But I waited. Let the phone buzz again. And again. Finally, curiosity won. I scrolled. Mom again. Your sister's keynote speaker canceled. Big name. Walked 15 minutes before the panel. Total chaos. Then, she's crying in the green room. It's bad, Daniel. A message from Emily's assistant, the same one who had told me about the Instagram gossip. Investors started walking after the schedule fell apart. One panel got hijacked by an audience member ranting about ethics and white saviorism. The live stream picked it up. Another message. This one short. She's asking for you. I stared at those words like they were written in another language. Asking for me. 2 days ago, I wasn't even worth a name on the guest list. Now, I was a lifeline. A cleanup crew. The irony hit hard. The very things they thought were too much, my structure, my bluntness, my obsession with contingency plans, were now the things they needed. Emily had cut me out because I didn't fit the image. I wasn't shiny enough. Not soft-spoken enough. But when everything started burning, guess who they called? The guy with the fire extinguisher. I stepped outside my cabin, letting the cold mountain air slap me awake. The sun was dipping below the peaks, casting a gold wash over the valley. I paced along the gravel path, reading message after message. Emily's co-founder. Daniel, this is Olivia. I know we've never spoken directly, but please, we could use your help. She's not handling this well. Mom again. Don't be cruel. She needs you. The assistant wants more. It's really falling apart. I think she's having a panic attack. I don't know what to do. My hands were shaking. Not from panic, from adrenaline. From recognition. This was the moment they'd always expected me to show up. To fix it. To make it look seamless from the outside. I used to run to that call. Always. Even when I shouldn't have. Even when it meant erasing myself. But now? Now I was standing on top of a mountain. And for the first time, I didn't feel small. I looked back at the lodge, warm lights glowing through frosted windows. Dinner would be served soon. Something simple. Root vegetables. A glass of wine. Silence. I glanced at my phone again, now buzzing with a fresh wave of alerts. Where are you? We need you. She's falling apart. I turned it face down on the stone wall and walked inside. Let it fall apart. Not my fire. Not anymore. I woke up to frost on the windows and a stillness so complete, I could hear my own breath. I made coffee, dark, bitter, perfect. Then I sat on the porch with a blanket over my shoulders and my phone in hand. I hadn't checked it since last night. 23 messages. 9 missed calls. 1 voicemail from Emily that I didn't bother listening to. I started scrolling. Most of it was predictable. We need you. Daniel, please. Emily is falling apart. Investors are threatening to pull out completely if someone doesn't salvage this. The last one came from Olivia, the co-founder who hadn't even acknowledged me at last year's beta launch. If there's any way you could do a quick remote address, even 10 minutes. Just something to stabilize the optics. I sipped my coffee, letting it all soak in. They were drowning. And now I was essential again. My phone buzzed once more. Another one from Emily. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. Please, I need you. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied. I sent a photo I'd just taken, me at the summit, wrapped in layers, sunrise breaking over the peaks like something out of a dream. No words. Just the image. Then I followed it up with a single line. Sorry, I'm busy overreacting. I waited 10 seconds. Then blocked her. Blocked Olivia. Blocked Mom. Then I tossed the phone onto the wool blanket beside me and exhaled. A long, steady breath. No buzz. No guilt. Just silence. For the first time in my adult life, I didn't feel the need to run toward a fire. It wasn't bitterness. It wasn't revenge. It was something else entirely. Relief. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. They made their choices. They drew their lines. Now they could deal with the fallout without me smoothing the edges. This was new. This feeling. Like standing up after crouching for years and realizing your legs still work. The old me would have rushed back, mic in hand, speech ready, smile forced. I'd have cleaned it all up. Made it look like nothing ever happened. But not anymore. I wasn't the fixer. Not for them. I was free. I was halfway through a bowl of quinoa stew when my phone, now unblocked and recharged, lit up again. This time, it was a message from Leah, my cousin. The only one in the family with common sense and a working moral compass. Leah, you are not going to believe what happened next. Call me. I raised an eyebrow and stepped outside, phone to my ear before the second ring ended. She picked up breathless. Okay. Are you sitting down? I'm literally on a mountainside eating soup. Leah, what happened? She blew out a breath. Emily had a full-on breakdown. I mean on stage. During the live stream. I blinked. Wait, what? She tried to open the panel with some off-the-cuff remarks because the keynote bailed, and then it just spiraled. Someone in the audience asked why you weren't there, and she lost it. Lost it how? She froze up, started rambling, then snapped at the guy, said something about betrayal, then blamed the team for the technical issues. The moderator tried to help, and she basically screamed at her to shut up. It was not good. Jesus. Oh, we're not done. Then a journalist, some tech culture blogger, stood up and asked if she was okay. And Emily snapped again. Called the question sexist. Said no one would ask a man that. I winced. Oh, Emily. Yeah. There's already clips going around. Tech Fails reposted it. And that AI podcast she was supposed to appear on tomorrow? Cancelled. I leaned against the wooden beam outside my cabin, the Andes wide and quiet behind me. She tanked her own event. She absolutely did. And get this, Grandma was watching the live stream. She called Mom after and said, "This is what happens when you cut your roots." I barked out a laugh. Did she really? Leah chuckled. Swear on my life. Grandma said, Daniel built that platform for her, and she tried to climb it without him. Now look where she landed. Well, Grandma doesn't even know how to work Bluetooth. She figured it out for this. That made me pause. My grandma, quiet, stubborn, loyal, had actually watched the whole thing. And she'd noticed. She'd said it. She blamed the team? I asked after a moment. Oh yeah. Olivia was white as a sheet backstage. They lost 3 sponsors on the spot. Apparently one of them said, if Daniel Foster's not backing this anymore, we're not either. I raised my mug in a silent toast. Poetic justice. Leah sighed. Honestly, I don't know whether to feel bad for her or impressed by your timing. Neither, I said. This was inevitable. I just got out before the collapse. We sat in silence for a second, both of us on different sides of the planet, but weirdly in sync. Then Leah said, well, wherever you are, stay there for a bit. The family group chat is on fire. Don't worry, I said, smiling. I've got another week of mountaintops and no internet. I'll survive. And for once, I really meant it. By the time I woke up the next morning, my phone had become a war zone. 31 new messages. 7 voicemails. I didn't open any of them. I already knew the contents. Guilt, desperation, and half apologies disguised as "let's talk." Mom led the charge. "Daniel, we need to have a family meeting when you return. It's important. We can't go on like this." Emily's messages were less measured. "You made your point. Happy? Everything fell apart. I hope you're proud of yourself." Then 5 minutes later, "Can we just talk? Please." I didn't answer. I didn't even feel tempted. Instead, I walked down to the valley with a guide and 2 other guests. We hiked along a ridge where condors circled overhead and the sky looked bigger than anything I'd ever stood beneath. At the top, there was a hammock strung between 2 poles. Someone had hung a carved wooden sign above it that read, "Rest is not a reward. It's a right." I took a photo and posted it with a caption. They excluded me. Now I'm excluding them. No tags. No names. But everyone who needed to get the message did. Leah texted back within minutes. "Legend behavior. Never coming down from that mountain, are you?" I replied with a hammock emoji and a peace sign. By sunset, I booked another week at the lodge. No hesitation. No debate. I didn't tell anyone. Just extended the reservation, paid the premium, and exhaled like I'd been holding my breath since the day Emily's text first landed. That night, I sat under a thick alpaca blanket with a hot drink and watched stars blink into existence, one by one. It was quiet in a way that felt earned. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. My whole life, I've been the designated grown-up. The fixer. The calm voice. The one who booked flights, drafted contracts, paid deposits, proofread statements, and showed up early to help with chairs and name tags. And for what? A front row seat to my own exclusion. So no, I wasn't flying back early. I wasn't hopping on a Zoom call to discuss damage control. I wasn't rescuing anyone this time. They could hold their own family meeting without me. They'd had no problem doing that when it came to the speaker lineup. I posted one last photo before turning in for the night: blue skies, snowy peaks, and a hammock swaying gently between poles. Caption: "Zero regrets." Then I turned off my phone. And for the first time in my adult life, I didn't worry about what came next. Because for once, I wasn't part of the mess. I was somewhere else entirely. And I wasn't going back. I woke up to a sky so clear it didn't seem real, just endless blue stretching above the Andes, like the whole world had finally exhaled. The cabin was quiet. No buzzing phone. No guilt. Just the sound of wind slipping through pine trees and the low hum of the earth breathing under frost. I wrapped myself in a thick sweater and stepped outside with a cup of tea. It was still steaming in the cold air, and I held it close, fingers curled around the heat like it might disappear. Sunlight touched the tips of the peaks, slow and golden. Everything was still, unhurried. I sat down on the wooden bench by the ridge and listened, not to people, not to voices, but to the quiet. And for the first time in years, my shoulders weren't tight. My jaw wasn't clenched. I wasn't running through imaginary conversations or thinking 2 steps ahead of everyone else's mistakes. There were no emergencies to fix. No fires waiting for me back home. Because I'd let them burn. And it hadn't killed me. It had set me free. I took a slow sip and smiled to myself, not out of spite, not out of satisfaction, but because I could. Because I wasn't the backup plan anymore. Not the fallback. Not the filler. I was the main character of my own story. And maybe that wasn't the story my family expected. Maybe I didn't look like the version of success they could brag about at wine tastings or boardroom mixers. But I had something better. I had peace. No applause. No audience. Just the sound of wind, the taste of hot tea, and a sunrise that belonged to no one but me. I didn't need to be part of their version of something big. I had my own. This was my something. My life. My stillness. My summit. And I wasn't coming down.